Welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report. I'm your host, Michael Darcy, and today I have the great pleasure to bring on my friend Colton Kennan. He is the sports director at KJHK at the University of Kansas. He's also a good friend of mine, a Jaguars fan, and we have also covered the NFL draft in Detroit. Colton could probably tell you some very interesting stories from that trip, including a late-night alarm going off in a Detroit motel outside of the city. A lot of stuff happened, but I'm here to get your thoughts on the 31-28 win over the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football. What is the Jacksonville perspective after this kind of win?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on here on the podcast. And obviously that NFL draft is when we saw Brian Thomas go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He had a great rookie year. Started really slow this year, actually. But from a Jags perspective, it's just these are the type of games the Jaguars have always lost in the past, and these are the type of games the Chiefs have always won in the past. So it was really weird, I think, both sides seeing them kind of flip the script. And for a Jags point of view, I was really impressed with the Chiefs' run defense. ETN had been running all over every team so far this year. He only had 59 rushing yards last night. But, I mean, you guys didn't do that good a job maintaining Trevor Lawrence, and that kind of surprised me a lot, too, because Trevor Lawrence isn't the most mobile quarterback in the world. He's a freak athlete, but isn't the most mobile. But I think that game was just the Trevor Lawrence experience. He throws like two throws, and you think he's the best quarterback in the NFL, and then he'll run 3 yards over the line of scrimmage and then have like the worst penalty of all time. So I think it was like the most Trevor Lawrence experience game ever, and I thought it was a great showing from the Jags offense, really. I mean, the defense did a really good job in the second half, but that pick six, it was just everyone throws a pick six. That was a bad one, really, really bad situation where it was on the 2-yard line. Both teams had costly turnovers right around inside the 2-yard line. So I'm happy the Jags pulled it away, but Darcy, I think you and I can both agree. On paper, the Chiefs were definitely the better team last night, and I think to the average fan, the Chiefs are still a better team. And you guys don't even have Rashee Rice yet.
Well, and that's the thing. I think going into this game, we all thought that we were better than the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I think that you can't deny they've got talent. And I think what Liam Cohen has done in 1 year in Jacksonville is extremely impressive. He has that team bought in and believing. Going to 4-1 on the season,
That's scary.
And in that division, you got to be thinking, okay, like we can actually win the AFC South.
No, absolutely. I mean, the Colts, you look at the teams they beat. I mean, the Broncos is a decent win. I'm not all in on the Broncos, but other than that, I mean, they just killed the Raiders. And the other two teams they beat don't even have the same amount of wins as the 49ers, who the Jags beat last week. But like you said, there's no short of talent on the Jaguars team. You got Travis Hunter, you got Brian Thomas, Brendan Strange, who's been, in my opinion, a top 5 tight end in the NFL, receiving tight end in the NFL this season. But yeah, talent is no question on the offense and defense. What I think everyone was excited to see, obviously, was Travis Hunter on both sides. But in my opinion, you're kind of getting not the best of both worlds. You're kind of getting the worst of both worlds, because you see, like the catch he made last night, that one huge play, it was a ridiculous catch. You put him on offense full-time, he's probably going to make 1 or 2 of those a game. You put him on defense full-time, he's going to get way better highlights. I mean, he was guarding Kelsey for a majority of the game. He had a couple of pass breakups, but he hasn't been able to find his footing, and he's obviously really young. But in my opinion, the Jaguars are getting the worst of both worlds, but it's a really good situation to be struggling in, if that makes sense.
Well, I want to get your thoughts. So we talked about the final play of the game. Well, not really the final play of the game, but the final game or the final drive by Jacksonville, where with 30 seconds left and no timeouts, Trevor Lawrence falls down twice and finds his way into the end zone, and Chris Jones was just kind of watching this whole thing unfold. What was your thoughts on that play, and specifically Chris Jones taking that play off?
Well, I was just praying to God Trevor Lawrence to just stand up and throw the ball in the stands as far as he can, but I mean, thank God it worked out. I mean, I was so excited watching the game. I haven't been able to be excited about an NFL football game in like 2 years, Darcy. So this was really a refresher, but I didn't even see Chris Jones just standing there until I saw like a replay of it this morning. And I'm sure everyone watching has seen it too. He literally just stood there. Like even when Trevor Lawrence got out of the pocket somehow, some way, after falling not once but twice, he just stood there. Like, if you're getting paid more than $30 million a game, if I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm sick to my stomach. I don't care because you guys are 4 plays away from being undefeated in all reality. And it's not, I'm not saying if you guys get a stop right there, you're going to win because, I mean, there are still 25 seconds left. But if you're paying someone $30 million a year, over $30 million a year, I would want to see a ton of effort. I know you would too, Darcy. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I don't know what he was doing.
Trust me, the people in
I'm sure,
Kansas City are not very happy with
I'm sure
Chris Jones.
Chiefs Twitter is pretty irate.
Oh, it melted down, and for good
Yeah.
reason. Like, you can't excuse the lack of effort on that play from Chris Jones. And I think, going back to the fact that I think we both agree that the Chiefs were the better team in this game. They outgained the Jags by 160 yards. They averaged 7.6 yards per play on offense. They won the turnover battle 2-1, and they still lost. So, like, what does that say about the Jags, that they can basically get dominated in a lot of facets in this game, but still find a way to pull it out?
Yeah, well, you look at the Jags season in general, we could have very easily lost the 49ers. We had a 79-yard punt return for a touchdown, and we won by 6 points. Trevor Lawrence slid inbounds to keep the clock, or he went out of bounds to stop the clock instead of sliding inbounds to keep it running. I mean, the Jags made so many mistakes. We're the leading team in the NFL penalty-wise. Last night, it was a whole different story. Jags only committed 4 penalties. Special teams penalties absolutely killed you guys. But I think it's really just a testament of the new coaching staff. And like you said, I think Liam Cohen actually is making this Jags team believe that they are a top team in the AFC South. Even if at some times in games you think this is the worst team in the NFL, because we saw some of those plays last night. And then you see that 3rd and 7 ball to Brian Thomas Jr., where you think this is like one of the best receiving quarterback duos in the NFL. But you got to look at like special teams for the Chiefs. I think that was the biggest thing. The Chiefs special teams gave us that win. I mean, Butker has made a mistake almost every game this year, or every game this season too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Chiefs special teams unit is a shit show. And you mentioned the penalties. The Chiefs committed 13 penalties last night for 109 yards. And Jacksonville only gave up 4 penalties for 25 yards. So, yeah, big difference there. And I think you guys were the more disciplined team in this game. And, that's the kind of stuff that when you pair the penalty yardage with the pick six, that's a lot to overcome. And in fact, this was the stat. The Chiefs had won 23 straight games, including the playoffs when leading by 14-plus points until that game against Jacksonville. So you guys were able to do something that 23 previous teams had not been able to do. And I feel like that was the statement win that Liam Cohen needed. And honestly, I think that might have been the statement win that Trevor Lawrence needed, because we all know that there's been, a lot of ups and downs so far early on in his career, but to go out there and win this game, to go, to 4-1 on the season in a very winnable division, I mean, you got to think like, okay, like this team is starting to separate themselves from some of the other teams in the AFC.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's bigger on Trevor Lawrence than Liam Cohen. Liam Cohen has done a fantastic job, and I think if you ask anyone on the staff and as a fan of the Jaguars, if they're 3-2 looking at their first 5 games at the beginning of the season, they would take that 100%. But it seems like has anyone in the national media talked about Trevor Lawrence like this? It's been almost 2 years. It's been since 2023, before he went down in that Monday Night Football game against the Bengals. But like you said, the Jaguars are slowly separating themselves, and I don't think the Colts are going to be able to keep it up. That's my personal opinion. The Texans started off really, really slow, so that also helps the Jaguars. But I think there's like 3 teams in the AFC that if they don't win their division, they can make it, and that's the Chargers, the Chiefs, and then the Patriots. I think the Patriots are pretty sneaky good, and I also am not going to count out the Ravens if the Steelers start losing games. I think the Ravens' only hope is if the Steelers peak at like 9 games and the Ravens and Lamar come back healthy. But and if I'm anyone in the AFC, I'm not fully bought in on the Chargers either. I mean, they have not looked that good in the past 2 weeks, and if I'm as a fan of the Chargers, I would be more anxious than anyone else in the AFC.
Oh, yeah. And I think, you make a good point that the AFC is kind of wide open right now, and so
And they're
coming
so
off
much
of
better than the NFC, in my opinion.
oh yeah, well, and it's because of the I guess the chaos 1 through
Yes,
9. Like there's just so many teams that you think, okay, like if they get into the dance, they might be able to steal a playoff win or maybe
absolutely.
go on a bit of a run. And so I think you make a really good point there. And I want to talk more about this Chiefs collapse, and we'll do that right after this break. This video is sponsored by my friends over at DM Injury Law. Injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation, but time is critical. Rely on the experienced personal injury attorneys at DM Law, Kansas City and Missouri's top injury law firm. DM Law is a full-service personal injury practice supported by a large team of investigators, case managers, medical records specialists, and more. And best of all, you don't pay unless they win. DM Law operates on a contingency fee basis, meaning no fees unless they win your case. And they also provide free consultations. So if you've been injured, don't wait. You can contact DM Law today for a free consultation and learn how they can help you pursue the compensation you deserve. Let them handle the fight while you focus on healing. Hurt in a car wreck? Call Mike. Remember, Mike's got this. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisement. Thanks to DM Injury Law for sponsoring this video. The Hollywood Casino at Kansas Speedway is the place to be. With over 1,500 slot machines, 35 table games, 4 restaurants, and an ESPN Bet sportsbook, there are plenty of ways to find your fun. For more chances to win, follow their Facebook, Instagram, and X. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Huge thanks to the sponsors that have supported this channel all football season long. Now, take me through the emotions of this game, because Chiefs jumped out to a 14-point lead. I was watching this game on the plane, and I was like, okay, like this Chiefs offense is cooking. I thought they were going to run away with this game, and I felt very similar to when KU went up 7-0 on Cincinnati. I was like, okay, that was quick. This is going to go very poorly for Cincinnati. Guess what? The Chiefs and the Jayhawks both lost those games. So maybe I just don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But what was the emotions like in this game?
Honestly, it was literally an emotional roller coaster. Like I said earlier, this was the first time I've been excited to watch football in almost 2 years in the NFL. Once the Jaguars went down 14-0, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I thought that the Jaguars were going to lose. I think the entire team came out and was really nervous in the first drive. And like I said, this is a game that the Jacksonville Jaguars lose 10 times out of 10 the last 15 seasons in the NFL. Once they got that touchdown to cut it to 7-14, I think that stop in the second quarter was huge, keeping it a 7-point game. But the Chiefs got the ball to start the second half too, and that's really dangerous for anyone else other than the Chiefs if you're guarding the Chiefs, because Patrick Mahomes is surgical, especially in those late game situations. They had the ball, I think, with 2:30 left in that second quarter, and I think it was a 3-and-out too. Obviously, penalties hurt that drive as well. But I as much as I want to say the Jaguars played really good and I think we are a great team, like you mentioned, I also think it was a big Chiefs collapse, and they just weren't able to capitalize on a lot of the chances they had. Both teams didn't play that good in the second half, if we're being honest, other than that the ending drive for the Jaguars.
No. And honestly, you mentioned it. This is a game that historically the Chiefs would win and the Jags would lose. And
Yeah.
we saw the absolute inverse happen on Monday night. Literally, it almost felt like we'd seen this movie before, except for this time it was a different ending. And
Especially the clock going down slowly in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You score with a minute 45. I'm like, of course. And honestly, I think if I'm Liam Cohen, I'm telling the Jaguars, just let them score, because they're going to get in the end zone. Let them score. And I'm sure that's what he did. And you're starting to see a lot more of that in the NFL too.
When Trevor Lawrence falling down twice, that's an example where if this was the Chiefs last year, Trevor Lawrence falls down twice, George Karlaftis jumps on top of him, he fumbles the football, and the Chiefs win because they've got no timeouts. That's how that game ends last year. The difference is, in all those one-score games, the Chiefs were perfect last year. So far, they're 0-3. And I think that I actually have more optimism coming out of this loss because I think that we've seen this offense over the past 2 weeks consistently score points, and that has been something that we haven't seen for a long time now. As a Jacksonville fan, what is your outlook on the Chiefs long term?
Yeah, well, I think this win is way more important for the Jaguars than it would be for the Chiefs. You look at the Chiefs' schedule. I mean, they got the Lions next week. It's in KC. That's going to be a really, really tough game. I think it's the last game without Rashee Rice, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Chiefs are coming, and as much as anyone wants to deny, I'm sure the Broncos fans would disagree, the Bills fans would disagree. Everyone is still worried about the Chiefs. The Chiefs are coming. They're slowly coming. They're getting Rashee Rice back. Xavier Worthy's still not fully healthy. I mean, he tweaked his ankle in that second quarter again, or maybe third quarter. I forgot which one it was. But the Chiefs aren't fully healthy. I think this is the worst start Mahomes has had, but he started 3-3 before. I think he started 4-4 before, I believe. If they can just get in the playoffs for the Chiefs, I think you're okay. I don't think the Broncos are that good. I don't think Bo Nix has proved anything yet. I think that Eagles win was good, but that was really on the play of the Broncos defense, if you ask me. I mean, the Broncos only scored 12 points in that second half. I don't think Bo Nix is the best quarterback. He's a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and I will never be bought into the Chargers hype. I will never do it.
The Chargers always find a way to charger, and I think, one point that Chiefs fans have said a lot, and this is probably a little bit of coping, but, assuming that the Chiefs continue this, spiral where they're still trying to figure stuff out, but, they get better and then they get Rashee Rice back. Let's say hypothetically that they don't win the division and they get into the playoffs. They're a team that probably no one wants to face in the first or second round, especially if you're at home. I think.
The Chiefs have shown they can beat people on the road. I mean, they did it 2 years ago.
How would you feel if in the wild card round the Chiefs came to Jacksonville?
I would not want to watch. I would be sick to my stomach. I think every Jacksonville fan would just know, no, Patrick Mahomes is
inevitable.
As much as I want to say the Jaguars would win, if I had to bet my money, bet anything, it would obviously be on the Chiefs. But if the Chiefs can get a 5 or a 6 seed, it's going to be dangerous. And I think if they can just take care of business, that game against the Lions will be really, really tough. But if they can take care of business after that, and if they can be healthy heading into the bye week, stay healthy, get Rashee Rice back, get on the same page, then there's a team no one wants to face. And this is a way bigger win for the Jags than it is a loss for the Chiefs, by far.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely agree, and I think that the listeners will agree with you. So, Colton, I think that is all the time we have in this video. It was a blast to get you on. My final question for you is, where can the people find your content?
No, yeah, absolutely. We're here in Lawrence, Kansas. Obviously, I'm the sports director for KU, KJHK Sports. We just broadcast all the Kansas athletics games, and then on my Twitter, I post all those clips, and then also have some podcasts of my own, and that's just Colton Kennan 12. It's on Twitter, but it's always fun being on the podcast, Darcy. I've been on the channel a couple times in the past, but got to talk about the Jaguars today, so it was always fun.
And guys, all of his stuff will be linked in the description of this video. Comment down below about some Detroit stories, and maybe we'll talk about them, because that was a crazy time. That was an insane time.
You didn't even mention the top 3 times, so.
Oh no, because stuff happened in Detroit. We'll just say that. Yeah. But Colton, I appreciate it, my friend. Guys, thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe for more Daily Chiefs content. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video, and as always, go Chiefs.